Excuses Begone. How to change lifelong, self-defeating thinking habits. And I'm Dr. Wayne Dyer. Introduction. I spent the year 2006 immersed in the ancient teachings of Lao Tzu, studying his monumental tome, the Tao Te Ching. I read, meditated, lived, and then wrote an essay on each of the 81 verses of the Tao, which many have called the wisest book ever written. That collection of essays is titled, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. I learned, and to this day practice, what to think, although all that Lao Tzu taught me in that year is beyond my abilities to describe completely. I find I now choose thoughts that are flexible, not rigid, soft, not hard. I think with humility, not arrogance, with detachment, not attachment. I practice thinking small and accomplishing big things, as well as thinking in harmony with nature, rather than with my ego. The idea of not interfering replaces meddling and advising. I prefer peaceful solutions over the notion of fighting to solve disputes. I opt for contentment rather than ambition, arriving, not striving. And most significantly, I choose thoughts that are congruous with the great Tao, or God, rather than the illusions of self-importance conjured up by the ego. Excuses Begone, the book you're presently listening to, was also influenced by that eminent master Lao Tzu. Since the Tao Te Ching taught me what kind of thinking harmonized with my higher self, I asked Lao Tzu for advice on how to change long-established habits of thought. I realized that knowing what to think does not necessarily clarify how to go about changing a lifetime of habitual thinking. Thus, I've drawn on Lao Tzu's wisdom by contemplating his teachings and asking for his guidance on what it takes to bring about a change in the long-held habits of thought that manifest as excuses. Through a process of writing that felt as though I were being directed by a force larger than myself, the Excuses Begone paradigm evolved with what appears to be the cooperation of this man named Lao Tzu, who lived some 2,500 years ago. This paradigm works. I've taken many people through the 7 questions that constitute this exciting new paradigm, and I've seen powerful changes take place to my and to their amazement. I've even worked the paradigm on myself and turned some habits of thought around almost magically. By examining the support system that individuals have erected over a long period of time, often going back to early childhood, and putting these time-worn thoughts through the 7 steps in this paradigm, I find that excuses begin to fade away. They become replaced with thoughts that speak fervently, almost shouting, yes, you can change any excuse pattern no matter how long or pervasive the conditioning process has been. I've seen men and women give up a lifetime of being overweight or addicted to all manner of substances by simply applying the principles that are inherent in the Excuses Begone approach to life. If you're truly serious about changing any long-established habits of thought that have led you to use excuses as your rationale for staying the same, then I encourage you to follow the practices presented in this program. The great poet Rainier Maria Rilke once observed that behind the world our names enclose is the nameless, our true archetype, and home. I would add, behind the world your excuses describe is the great Tao. Let yourself be lived by it, and all of those excuses will fade away so that you finally come home once and for all. Part 1. Identifying and removing habitual thinking. Quote, every human being's essential nature is perfect and faultless. But after years of immersion in the world, we easily forget our roots and take on a counterfeit nature. Unquote. That's Lao Tzu. Chapter 1. Yes, you can change old habits. Quote, I wasn't kissing her, I was whispering in her mouth. Unquote. That's from Chico Marx, which was his response to his wife when she caught him kissing a chorus girl. And another quote, an excuse is worse and more terrible than a lie. Unquote. Alexander Pope. It's been said that old habits die hard, implying that it's next to impossible to change long-standing thought patterns. Yet the book you are listening to was created out of a belief that entrenched ways of thinking and acting can indeed be eradicated. Furthermore, the most effective means for eliminating habitual thoughts is to go to work on the very system that created and continues to support these thinking habits. This system is made up of a long list of explanations and defenses that can be summed up in one word: excuses. Hence, the title of this book is really a statement to yourself, as well as to that system of explanations you've created. It is my intention that all excuses be gone. Can I make dramatic changes in the way I live? Is it possible to change self-defeating thoughts and behaviors that have been my constant companions for as long as I can remember? Can I really do a U-turn and deprogram myself when I've never known any other way to think and act? I've been depressed, or stubborn, or overweight, or scared, or clumsy, or unlucky, or any other descriptor you choose to insert here, my entire life. Is it even feasible or practical for me to contemplate removing these old and familiar ways of being and open myself up to a brand new me? This program is my answer to those questions. Yes, there is a way available to you right here and right now. You can relinquish any unwanted but long-held thoughts that have become your self-definition. Excuses Begone presents a powerful and easy method for removing deeply embedded thinking habits that are preventing you from being the person you want to be. The power of your beliefs to keep you stuck is enormous. Those deeply ingrained notions act as chains, restricting you from experiencing your unique destiny. You have the capacity to loosen these chains and make them work for, rather than against you, to the point that you can alter what you thought were scientific explanations for your human limitations and characteristics. I'm referring to things such as your genetic makeup, your DNA, or the early conditioning imposed upon you when you were an embryo or an infant or a young child. Yes, you heard that correctly. Your beliefs, all of those formless energy patterns that you've adopted as your self-image, have the ability to change dramatically and give you the power to conquer unwanted traits, or what you unhappily presume to be your fate. The implacable sciences of genetics and medicine, psychology, and sociology may cause you to feel helpless about overcoming proven facts that are said to determine virtually everything about you. I can't help the way I think. I've always been this way. It's my nature, and it can't be changed. This is all I've ever known. After all, you take what's handed to you, and you make the best of it. All of these are the laments of those who opt to use excuses to explain their lives away. I will be using the word excuses for what many call conditioned ways of being throughout this program. Every self-limiting thought that you employ to explain why you're not living life to the absolute fullest, so you're feeling purposeful, content, and fully alive, is something you can challenge and reverse regardless of how long you've held that belief and no matter how rooted in tradition, science, or life experiences it may be. Even if it seems like an insurmountable obstacle, you can overcome these thoughts, and you can begin by noticing how they've been working to hold you back. Then you can embark on a deprogramming effort that allows you to live an excuse-free life, one day at a time, one miracle at a time, one new belief at a time.